In the West, dragons are often imagined as terrifying monsters, beasts that hoard treasure, breathe fire, and must be slain by brave heroes. But in China, dragons were never villains. They were sacred, powerful, and deeply tied to the order of the universe. They represented water, rain, fertility, wisdom, and even the mandate of emperors. And among all the dragons that filled Chinese myths and legends, 9 stood above the rest, each with its own unique form, its own power, and its own role in shaping both the heavens and the earth. These were not creatures of chaos, but guardians of balance, mystical beings carved into temples, weapons, palaces, and even rooftops. For thousands of years, they were believed to protect, punish, and watch over humanity. Today, we uncover their story, the legacy of the 9 dragons of Chinese mythology. To understand the 9 dragons, we must first understand the dragon itself. In Chinese mythology, the dragon, known as Long, is not a beast of destruction, but a divine, celestial creature. Unlike the winged, fire-breathing reptiles of Europe, Chinese dragons are long, serpentine beings with the body of a snake, the horns of a deer, the claws of an eagle, and the whiskers of a catfish. They are forces of nature, rulers of rivers, seas, storms, and rain. Without them, crops would fail, famine would spread, and life itself would collapse. To see a dragon in the clouds was to glimpse divine favor. But beyond nature, dragons also symbolized power and order. The emperor of China was called the Son of Heaven, and his throne was known as the Dragon Throne. Even the emperor's robes bore 5-clawed dragons, a symbol no one else was permitted to wear. Yet it wasn't just the emperor who was protected by dragons. Ordinary people placed dragons on rooftops, temples, incense burners, and bells, believing they kept away fire, thieves, and evil spirits. And among these countless depictions, 9 specific dragons emerged, each with its own name, each with its own role, each tied to a deeper truth about the universe. Why 9? In Chinese culture, the number 9 has always been sacred. It is the highest single digit, representing completeness, eternity, and the celestial order. The emperor himself was associated with the number 9, and the 9 dragons came to embody both his power and the eternal forces of heaven. Now, let us meet them, one by one. 1. Bishi, the dragon that bears the weight. Bishi is unlike most dragons we imagine. He does not soar through the skies or swim through the seas. Instead, he walks upon the earth, his body shaped like a colossal turtle, his back broad and unyielding, his scales thick as stone. Bishi's power was not fire or flight, but endurance. He was said to be able to carry mountains, temples, even the weight of history itself. And so, in ancient times, the Chinese carved his image at the base of stone steles, monuments inscribed with laws, history, and the legacies of emperors. If you travel to old Chinese temples, you will see them still, great rectangular slabs of stone, resting on the back of a turtle dragon. Each stele tells a story, and each one rests upon Bishi, who carries the memory of the world. But Bishi is more than a symbol of strength. He is a reminder of responsibility. Just as he bears the weight of stone, so too must humanity bear the weight of its past, never forgetting the lessons carved in history. 2. Chiwan, the dragon of roofs and rain. High above the ground, crouched at the edge of curved palace rooftops, one can find the image of Chiwan. Chiwan is sleek and agile, with the body of a fish and the head of a dragon. His mouth gapes wide, as though swallowing the clouds themselves. It was said that Chiwan could drink the rain and breathe it back out, controlling storms and floods. Because of this, his figure was placed on the tips of roofs, especially the grand roofs of palaces and temples. By doing so, people believed Chiwan would protect the building from fire, lightning, or heavy storms. His presence turned fragile wooden structures into places of divine protection. But Chiwan is not just a guardian of architecture. He is also a reminder that life is fragile, that storms come without warning, and that protection is something to be sought not just in walls of stone, but in forces beyond our sight. 3. Paleo, the roaring dragon. The sound of Paleo is unforgettable. He is not the largest of dragons, nor the most fearsome to look upon. Instead, his gift lies in his voice. Legend tells us that Paleo lived by the shores of the Eastern Sea. There, he was constantly harassed by great whales that rose from the depths to chase him. Whenever danger came, Paleo screamed with such intensity that mountains trembled and the sea itself shuddered. Ancient artisans, inspired by this myth, began to carve Paleo's likeness onto massive bronze bells. They believed that when the bell was struck, Paleo's roar would be released once more, driving away evil spirits, protecting temples, and carrying prayers to the heavens. When you hear the toll of a great Chinese bell, deep and thunderous, you are not just hearing metal. You are hearing the echo of a dragon's cry. And that cry is a reminder that even the small, when pushed, can unleash a force that shakes the world. 4. Bayan, the dragon of judgment. Where others soared the skies or guarded rooftops, Bayan watched over justice. This dragon was fierce and sharp-eyed, with scales like iron and a gaze that pierced through falsehood. He was said to despise liars, cheats, and the corrupt. For this reason, his image was carved into the gates of prisons and the walls of law courts. Wherever Bayan watched, no deceit could remain hidden. To the people, Bayan was a constant reminder that justice was not merely a human invention, but a cosmic law. Those who betrayed honor and truth would not escape the judgment of the dragons. Imagine entering a court in ancient China and seeing the carved face of a dragon glaring down from the gate. You would know at once. Lies will not protect you here. Bayan's presence was meant to terrify the guilty and comfort the innocent. 5. Taie, the dragon of greed. Not all of the 9 dragons are protectors. One of them, Taie, serves as a warning of what happens when desire goes unchecked. Taie is a terrifying figure, depicted as a wide, monstrous face with gaping jaws, his body often missing or consumed by his own hunger. He is found carved onto ritual bronze vessels, staring out with hollow eyes and a mouth forever open. The legend of Taie is that he was a dragon consumed by greed and gluttony. No matter how much he ate, he was never satisfied. His endless hunger devoured everything around him, even himself. The ancient Chinese carved his face on his sacrificial vessels as a reminder: greed destroys. To feast beyond what is needed is to become Taie, devoured by your own desire. In this way, Taie is less a guardian and more a mirror, reflecting the dangers of excess back at all who gaze upon him. 6. Yazi, the dragon of war. If Taie embodied hunger, Yazi embodied rage. Yazi was long and lean, his body covered in jagged scales, his teeth bared in constant fury. He was known for his ferocity, his hunger for combat, his inability to find peace. Wherever there was fighting, Yazi longed to be. Because of this, his image was carved into the hilts of swords, the guards of spears, and the armor of warriors. Carrying Yazi into battle was said to bring his ferocity to the fighter, making them fearless, relentless, and impossible to defeat. But Yazi's lesson is double-edged. His strength is undeniable, but his rage can never be quenched. To call upon Yazi is to borrow power, but also to risk being consumed by endless thirst for war. He is a symbol not only of courage, but also of the dangers of violence unrestrained. 7. Suanni, the dragon of incense and meditation. In contrast to Yazi's fury, Suanni preferred calm and silence. Suanni was often depicted as a lion-bodied dragon, majestic and serene. He loved to sit still, basking in incense smoke, his eyes half closed as if in meditation. His image was placed upon incense burners, with smoke flowing from his mouth, filling temples with fragrance. In this way, Suanni became the companion of monks, scholars, and those who sought wisdom. But Suanni was not weak. His stillness held power, the kind of power that comes not from rage or hunger, but from patience, clarity, and thought. He reminded people that wisdom comes not from endless struggle, but from stillness of the mind. 8. Jiaodu, the guardian of doors. Silent and secretive, Jiaodu was unlike his brothers. He was not a dragon of storms or war, but of boundaries. Withdrawn and defensive, Jiaodu hated intrusion. For this reason, his image was placed upon doors, gates, and seals, making him a protector of thresholds. If you wanted your home safe from thieves or spirits, you placed Jiaodu upon your gates. If you wanted your city safe, you carved him onto the walls. Jiaodu's power lies in his refusal to open. He teaches us that not all strength comes from attack. Sometimes, strength comes from guarding, protecting, and refusing to let harm enter. 9. Bayan, the dragon of the courts. Our final dragon is Bayan, fierce and watchful. Like Bayan was tied to justice, but his role was harsher. His image was carved on prisons, glaring down at criminals with unblinking fury. To see his face was to remember that punishment was inevitable, that justice could not be escaped. He terrified the guilty, for he was believed to follow them even into the afterlife. Bayan's presence ensured that order was maintained, that the laws of men were backed by the laws of dragons. Together, Bian and Bayan remind us that society rests not only on power, but on fairness. Without justice, even empires crumble. Why were there 9 dragons, and not 10 or 12? In Chinese culture, the number 9 is sacred. It is the largest single digit, symbolizing greatness, eternity, and completion. The emperor himself was linked to the number 9. His robes, his palaces, even the 9-dragon wall in Beijing reflected this. To possess 9 dragons was to possess ultimate heavenly power. Each dragon ruled a different aspect of life: water, sound, justice, battle, peace, protection, and more. Together, they represented a cosmic order that touched every part of existence. The 9 dragons are not forgotten. They live on in the great 9-dragon walls, with their brilliantly colored tiles depicting each dragon in fierce motion. They live in temples, bells, incense burners, weapons, and rooftops. They appear in martial arts, literature, and even modern video games, reminders that their stories still breathe in our time. For the Chinese people, dragons are more than myth. They are identity, culture, and pride. And the 9 dragons remind us that life is not ruled by chaos alone, but by order, balance, and protection. The 9 dragons were never monsters to be slain. They were guardians, teachers, and warnings. Bishi bore the weight of history. Chiwan protected from storms. Paleo roared across the bells of temples. Bian and Bayan judged the guilty. Taie warned against greed. Yazi thrived in battle. Suanni found wisdom in meditation. And Jiaodu guarded the home. Together, they formed a legacy of power, balance, and eternity. Perhaps, even now, when thunder rolls across the mountains or rain pours from the sky, you are hearing the voices of the 9 dragons, watching, protecting, and reminding us that their myth is far from forgotten.